You're recording.
Good morning, everyone. I am here with my dear colleagues, Kelly and Leilani, and of course in my super comfy living room. One of the advantages of COVID I found is that now I get to teach rather than marching around in front of a classroom. I get to teach from the comfort of this heated lazy boy. So our purpose in filming this particular introductory video before class starts is to give you a brief overview of the course and give you a sense of what things are due, when, and how. So I'm going to use the share screen feature right now and walk you through this particular course. So when you click on the home button, or when you first open up this course in Canvas, you'll find that it is currently the syllabus. Now, as our course progresses, then we're going to change this from the syllabus tab to the modules tab, okay? And so you'll see something that looks like this that is broken down by week. Don't worry, these due dates are wrong. We know they are. We've got some things we're still fixing back channel. For now, though, just know that eventually our home screen will switch from the syllabus like it is now and will eventually be the modules, okay? So this class is atypical for UVU, meaning that most courses are either all online, what's called asynchronous, meaning that you just take the course whenever you can at your own leisure, or they're hybrid, meaning that you take some of your material online and some of it face-to-face, or a traditional face-to-face course. This class is weird because we are both synchronous and asynchronous simultaneously, meaning that we have a particular time every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that is, where we will meet online for those that can make it, okay? Now, for those that can make it, they will get attendance points for attending class, being present in class, and then for those who can't make it, they can take the recording of these lectures and take a short quiz demonstrating that they were attending to the lecture. Now, a couple of pet peeves that I have. Some people, when I teach this way, will go, oh, I don't actually want to pay attention to class, but I want credit for attending class. So I will just log on to the class and then set my computer aside and go run errands, okay? One young man, for example, last semester was working construction. So he set his phone in the corner of a house that he was building and then just walked away. Now, he insisted that he both heard and understood everything that I was teaching, and he was using it like a book on tape or a podcast. That is actually a very clever idea. Unfortunately, when I'm watching him leave for lunch, I really don't think he was listening to my lecture, and he did that regularly. So therefore, I started quizzing him and saying, are you actually paying attention? He insists he did. It turns out he wasn't even around to hear me. So if you're going to log on, and I hope some of you will, please actually endeavor to be as present as possible. For those of you that can't be, because when I am actually meeting online, it's not convenient for you, great. Treat this as a podcast later, listen to it, take the short quiz, and you're as good as gold, you get your points. One of the things that I really appreciate about my colleague Kelly, can you say hi?
Hello.
Is not only is she, of course, a very pleasant person, but she makes the quiz questions very straightforward, okay? So the lecture quizzes aren't designed to trick or to fool or to get really detailed. Instead, are you paying attention, right? So again, for those of you who are attending the synchronous portion of the lecture, you don't need to take the lecture quiz. You're welcome to if you want to review, but please work that out with Kelly because it can create a little bit of a paperwork hassle. For those of you that can't meet during the time I arbitrarily decided, no problem at all. Watch the videos, listen to our scintillating and sparkling conversation, and take your quiz for your points. So that's this first section under method of instruction. You've got mine and Kelly's contact information, the method of instruction section. We actually included the MS Teams link right here, okay? So you'll be able to click on that, boom, boots up Teams. Now, I hear that Teams varies in reliability across device types. It seems like if you're on a Macintosh or PC computer, that it tends to work better than it does on Apple mobile or Android devices, okay? So I'll get on a rant here in a minute about how especially when you're taking your quizzes and exams, it's really risky to use a mobile device versus say a laptop or personal computer. Okay, so the course description is very basic. This is general psychology, right? It's mile wide and inch deep. So our goal is to just increase your familiarity with psychological concepts. Pretty straightforward. Here's the objectives. Break those down. We should probably actually have 15 objectives because we have 15 modules, but then the syllabus would be a little bit longer. So one of the nice things about this particular course, and I'll show you more under modules, is that your textbook is integrated into Canvas here. And so you paid a small fee to take this particular course, probably so small you may not have noticed, but that's to cover the cost of the online textbook that is built in. Now, I think this is pretty badass because now you don't have to pay for another book, right? You also don't have to worry about pirating one or borrowing one from a friend or mugging the guy in the apartment across the way because, you know, he took this class. None of that, right? It's straightforward. It's already built in. It's gold. So some policies to be aware of. One of the things that I have found is that students are happy to take advantage of my kindness and not think that they might be giving me stress. So we're pretty strict on deadlines because I found that the more I give people extensions, the more they procrastinate. And at the end of the semester, when I'm overwhelmed with all the grading I have to do, they then submit an entire semester's worth of work all at once. And that's brutal, it's unkind, and it's a betrayal, I'll be honest, that I'm kind and I give a little bit, I'm kind and give a little bit, and then I'm exploited for it. And so I'm not doing that anymore. Please don't feel personally convicted in that. I don't know you yet. So if there is a situation, your kid wakes up throwing up blood, you're in the emergency room, you've got COVID and you can't even move, dude, if you're able to email Kelly and I, do so as soon as possible. When it comes to emergencies for you or those people you care for, we've got your back and we'll be very flexible. If it's, I'm sorry, I slept through the test, I'm not going to be very flexible. And it's not because I don't like you. It's because these problems have a tendency to accrue to the point they're overwhelming for me and Kelly. So no late work unless it's an emergency. Get with this really quick. If there is a glitch on Canvas, this dude, Sean Edwards, is assigned to help you out. So attendance is required for the course in the form of attendance points. Don't freak out if you can't make it during my arbitrarily assigned time. Attendance is taken through the quizzes for those of you that can't be in class. For those of you that can be in class, we have other ways of taking attendance for you and checking on through discussion whether or not you're actually present. So I love living in Utah. This is the 5th institution I've taught for, the 5th university I've taught for, and I need this line in my introductory course syllabi. If you're getting married, that doesn't create extensions or me having to juggle my class around because you're getting married during a semester. I appreciate that, especially with how complicated families have become with stepdads and stepmoms and great stepuncles, and then that cousin that is strung out on drugs, but she's recently out of rehab, and the only time between rehab and jail is this time, and that's the only time you get married. I appreciate that. And please get married. I'm a diehard romantic myself. You'll hear stories in this class, but I'm not changing deadlines around, okay? So it gets, again, it's just a huge hassle for me. So modules, we'll go over the modules in a second. The study plans are embedded in the modules. Hello.
Hello.
And this is my kin Erica, and she is bringing me breakfast. Say hello. I don't know if anybody can see Erica.
Yeah, I don't know either.
And this is green tea latte, and it is delightful. It's one of my favorite treats. So Kelly was kind enough to introduce me to this place called Beanies, and they sell the best green tea latte in the state. I kid you not. Oh. If there's a heaven, this is what it tastes like. So the study plans are embedded in the modules. Hey, local, and you'll also get to know my dogs. I don't know if you can see my black poodle here, Boo. She's a standard poodle, and she is wonderful. She's good company. And then Ninja will wander through here in a minute. So study plans are embedded in the modules. We'll show you that in a second. Academic honesty, don't plagiarize, don't cheat, please. Disabilities, etc. Here's the contact information for this. Here's the point breakdown. Now, I think that some of you will have the opportunity to be involved in research as a research subject this semester. Unfortunately, the university doesn't let us do cool research that involves things like electric shocks and throwing people off buildings. So the research that you'll be involved in will probably be, you know, like taking tests or your perception being measured or taking a survey or things like that. So there's a syllabus quiz that Kelly is working on right now. It will be due within the first couple weeks of classes. Now, there are quizzes built into this whole module, and we'll get into that in a second. And the quizzes are, you don't have a lot of time to take the quizzes. You've got about 10 minutes, they're timed, and some people get really stressed out by that, and I get a lot of feedback of how stressful it is. Unfortunately, a lot of things in this class are on tight timelines. Like even the final exam has a tight timeline given the number of questions. There's like 100 minutes for 100 questions, and that's set by the department. So what I'm trying to do by having these tight timelines on the quizzes is help prepare you for the department mandatory final for this course. So here's some advice on how to take quizzes. Now, the directed study guides. This is going to feel like busy work to some of you. I hope the majority of you will eventually understand the genius in directed study guides. So directed study guides are a technique of content mastery where as you read your textbook, you summarize the main idea on a directed study guide template that I'll show you here in a minute in your own words, okay? And what that helps you do is retranslate what you've read into your own language, and therefore it increases your likelihood to remember it. Okay, so DSGs, I get pushback. I've been requiring DSGs for many, many years, and I get a lot of pushback, but guys, my students in this class score significantly higher on the department mandatory final. That's like the highest average in the department. So I know it's painful at times, and I know it can feel tedious, but it works. The average grade coming out of this class is a high B+, almost an A-. Like students in this class, they work hard, but they kick all of the ass. And so, yeah, we're going to stick to doing the DSGs. And so later in the course, for example, I'll start sharing with you, because as a researcher, that's one of the things I've researched is effective study strategies. And so we've actually set up experiments, et cetera, around these, and I'll talk about those hopefully later in the semester. So here's some advice for completing your DSG. Please read through that. The grade breakdown. You'll notice that the grade breakoffs are actually quite high compared to some of the other courses. A 95 and higher is the cutoff for an A grade, for example. Okay, so modules. Eventually, this will be the front page, and this is professor view. Don't freak out. Okay, so what I'd like to do is click on the DSG just to show you, oh, the link is broken. Don't worry, Kelly will fix the link. I will show you what a DSG looks like because I have a backup under files. And so eventually it will be linked directly in the modules because Kelly is cool like that. DSG example, okay, and directed study guide files. So this is your backup if the link under modules isn't working. So here's directed study guide files. Here are all the templates for all of your directed study guides throughout the entire semester, okay? And so what you'll do is you'll actually fill these out in your own words as you are reading the material. And so you'll just need to have a note. I know this is picky, but to rewrite the headers, the subheaders, and the vocabulary terms. So what is psychology? And then in your own terms to fill each of these out. What is an ology? What is psyche? What is psychology? How would you summarize Wundt and structuralism, James and functionalism? The history of psychology, what's the id, ego, and superego, etc. So you'll fill all of those out. Now, we were also kind enough, because that's how we roll, to include a sample DSG if you're curious about what a good one looks like when it's all filled out. And so if it will load, I'll show you. And so this is what a good directed study guide looks like when it's all filled out, okay? So take this as like the A example. Okay, so back to modules. So under the module, you will have Now, eventually, you'll also have the video for that day will eventually be posted. So on Monday, for example, for week 1, Kelly is going to add the lecture video for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday under each of those, and those will be posted under your first module. You've got your directed study guide link, which will be fixed because we're getting to it. Now, back to your textbook. So your textbook is actually built online. It's actually built in. So you'll click on it, it'll load. Here's the history of psychology. Then you click the next page, it loads the next page, etc. It gives little quizzes built in. These are like formative quizzes, meaning you're just quizzing yourself. These aren't for points, okay? So when you're done reading and you're filling out your directed study guide as you read your online textbook, then at the end, you'll click on this quiz and you'll actually take the mastery quiz, okay? So there will be a quiz here next week. So preview, and then we can start, etc. The answer key. So one of the things that Kelly will be working on is filling this quiz out. Okay, back home again. Okay, so we've talked about the class is a synchronous, asynchronous class. We'll be meeting on MS Teams or recorded videos on YouTube. I forgot to mention that they'll be posted and they'll be uploaded to YouTube. Again, thank you, Kelly. We've talked about directed study guides, the quizzes, and the readings, and that's really the course. This course is a lot of work, but we've kept it very simple. The due dates will usually be on Sunday nights at 11:59 p.m. Okay, for your directed study guides, your reading quizzes, as well as your lecture video quizzes. So we've tried to keep things pretty streamlined and pretty simple. So a lot of content, but the types of assignments, we've tried to minimize all busy work. We've eliminated discussions and group work because we care about you. Okay, Kelly, what am I forgetting? Does anything come to mind?
I can't think of
Teamwork for the win. Okay, so for those of you who can meet us on Monday, I look forward to meeting with those of you who can meet. And again, because this is asynchronous, most of you won't be able to meet with us, but I hope you will enjoy our discussion and, well, as you watch the recorded video. So thank you all very much for joining me for a minute, and I hope to see some of you Monday. Bye-bye now.